Hello everyone, welcome to the preview for the game against Porto in the Europa League at Stadio de Dragao. This could be one of Ten Hag's last games at the club. Is it time to pivot? Is it time to pivot and be brave? Or will we be stubborn until the very end? Or will Ten Hag be stubborn, should I say? How are we feeling ahead of this one, lads? I know the answer. I know what you're going to say, but I do have to ask the question. Shreyas, after that Tottenham game, we can only be at 1 point, can't we, heading into this game? And that's absolutely confidence on the floor.
Oh yeah, it has to be. And I would say, I think the overall morale, the entire momentum of the team is absolutely gone after that Spurs game. And it's not even the fact that we lost. It was because the way we actually played in that game. Spurs weren't playing like a team that, was absolutely flawless in that game. They played okay. Because it was that we were playing so bad that they were able to take advantage of the fact, and we were absolutely clueless on the pitch. No player on the pitch actually had an idea, about what to do and what not to do, and it just got to a point where it became really, really frustrating to see. And I just think that it is the worst possible way you can go into a game, especially when you're going away to a side like Porto. When in the first game of the Europa League itself, we didn't really play as great. We dropped points in the first game itself. You would want to see us going there and getting some points, getting back on track in the Europa League as well. But it just looks very unlikely with the way we are going. And when it comes to the manager's system, he's had ample of opportunities and enough time to actually tweak it or actually go with something else. He's never done that. He never did it in his first season. He never did it in his second season. And he's not going to be starting it now. In the second season, even when he had injuries, even when he had no players to actually fill in on the fullback positions or the centre back departments, he still stuck with the same system. So I don't see him making any changes to the system now. All we can do is just hope that it works out, because he's just got a very limited window now. I genuinely think he's got a very limited window for it to work.
Before we dive into actual preview, Sam, we have had some little bits of news and updates in regards to the team. Now, Bruno Fernandes's red card has been overturned. Shock surprise there, because it was a shocking decision in the first place. Obviously has no kind of effect on the Europa League game regardless, but we've had that news come in. I think Kobbie Mainoo's got a slight hamstring tear or something. I can't remember what the specifics are, but he might be out for a couple of games. But Mason Mount is available as well. So just touch on those three bits of news for us if you can.
We're not touching on the other one, the big breaking extraordinary news that Luke Shaw is still out for 6 to 8 weeks.
Yeah, I'm not even mentioning it. It's pointless.
Is he going to play this season?
It's not even breaking news. I put it on Twitter before. Like, it's not breaking news because we expect it every time. Every time we expect it.
Breaking news: the sky is blue. Fantastic, absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
Like, it's just
unbelievable.
Unbelievable. Yeah. But the Mason Mount thing was weird, wasn't it? Like, we had one of the worst games we've probably ever had, and he put it on Instagram. He put an Instagram picture of, "Don't worry, guys, I'm all right. I've got, like, it's like, lads, like, mate, we're not worried about your fucking head. Like, we're worried about the shite state of the team, like, which is a bit misguided, but it's what it is. I don't expect the team to change much. So Mount being available and Kobbie not being available, I kind of know what team we're gonna go for anyway. I kind of have an idea like what we're gonna do. I think all three of us have agreed on the same 11 spoilers. So I don't think it affects things in terms of selection too much. Maybe Kobbie would have started on Thursday, maybe not, but I just don't think it affects the selection too much, to be honest with you. And we know it had Bruno been available for these next 3 Premier League games, he would have started. The only way he doesn't start is if that red card stayed, and it hasn't, so he's going to start. So that's where we are.
Yeah, they say you can only be as good as your last game. I mean, that Tottenham game, lads, in isolation, that was a real low, both from the manager point of view and a player perspective. It looked like that game, I mean, Sammy referenced it as the Watford one. Other people have mentioned, the games under Jose Mourinho. It just felt like the final nail in the coffin for the manager. In my opinion, at least, that's how I feel. There's already reports surfacing that they've had enough. You've got Rude waiting on the sidelines. There's no tactical improvement on the pitch. 600 million quid's been plummeted into this team since Ten Hag's arrived, and it just feels inevitable. And the only way, and this is a giant, probably the biggest fucking if I've ever done on Real Reds Talk, if he can redeem himself and get a result against Porto and get a result against Aston Villa, you might just by the skin of your teeth, get away with it. I don't believe he will, but you might just convince enough people to at least get another kind of 6 months or whatever it is. But we look at this Porto team. This is a team, lads, who Arsenal struggled against in the Champions League last season. They're very, very good, especially at home. So judging Shreyas by the FC20 game, this seems like it's going to be absolutely impossible, doesn't it, in the current form that we're in? And Ten Hag's record in Europe is fucking shocking.
I'm not even joking. This game might be more difficult than a Tottenham game. Reason being, Tottenham at least play a high line. So, considering the kind of skill set and profiles we've got, you would expect us to play better against a high line. When you look at Porto are a very highly organized side. They play very, very compact. And I would say this season, one thing that has shifted in their game is they've started to score a lot of goals. They've genuinely started to score a lot of goals, because earlier on, Porto used to be a side that used to be they used to have a big defensive mainstay. Even when they used to play in the Champions League as well, defense used to be the way that they used to go. This season, it's a lot more balanced. The formations are very, very compact. Like, if you're trying to hit them on the counter, you're not going to have a lot of freedom. You really need to have to break them down in order to get through their lines. But apart from that, they've got this player called the striker that Chelsea wanted to sign initially from Atletico. He's gone there. He's doing bits. He's got 5 goals in 5 games itself. They've got a winger called Galeno as well, who's been absolutely ripping it apart this season. And in the midfield, they've got Varela, who's a very, very an up-and-coming midfielder, doing very, very good in the Portuguese league as well. And they're coming into this game with a 4-0 win. We are going into this game with a 3-0 loss. So they are absolutely high on momentum when it comes to this game. And considering it's at their home stadium, I think they've got all the advantage, and perhaps the perfect setting to actually beat United and take all the 3 points. Because first off, we aren't playing well. We're coming up against a side that is very highly organized. We struggle to break teams down who try to play compact football. And then coming up against a very hostile crowd in Porto, I think it's going to be very tough for us to even make a draw in this game.
Yeah, so I'm sure I mentioned style there, and coincidentally, we've actually got 2 teams coming up who play a very similar style in Brentford as well within the next couple of weeks. Well, I think is Brentford after? No, Brentford's after Villa, right?
Yeah, Villa, and then Brentford.
Yeah. So obviously Villa are slightly different, but Brentford do play a similar style to Porto, that aggressive, physical style, high press, man-to-man marking system, flood the box with midfielders, and they've got really, really good wingers as well, 1v1. So it's going to be a difficult setup, especially with the way we kind of play. You look at the way Tottenham was pressing and how much we was losing it, and turnovers, and then Ericsson against FC20 where he loses it as well. So, I think in that sense we can get hurt. When you flip it on its head, if we have those players quick, one-touch passing, exploit spaces, pass efficiently, you can hurt them. And players like that who you would associate normally are players like Bruno Fernandes. And you've got him going back to Porto. I know he was born in, is it Boa Vista? I think it is.
So it's big rivalry, isn't it, between Boa Vista and
so
Porto.
You've got all these things kind of coming together for Bruno. But he's let us down so far, hasn't he, this season? So it's hard to put any faith in him whatsoever.
It's not just him. I think most of the players have let us down. We've spoken on the manager and his system, which is exposing the flaws of several, in my opinion, very good players. I don't think all these players are terrible. They can't be. It's just fucking impossible for every single one of them to be awful. There's got to be something going on. I've seen people turning against Manuel Ugarte already. He's had 2 starts, and the people are already saying he's shite and stuff. It's just it's not that simple. It's just not. It's not him. This is not the issue here. So I think unless Ten Hag arrests this downfall and this spiral of this system, which I don't think he will do, we're going to continue to see bad performances from players like Bruno, players like Manuel Ugarte, players like Xerxes, who's struggling to score goals. I mean, he was never going to be coming and be prolific, but you'd expect some of the opportunities that he's had to put him in the back of the net, and he hasn't. Still waiting for Højlund to get to full fitness. It's when he has come on and had cameos, he's not looked fantastic. So there's a lot of players who last season stepped up to the plate who aren't sort of even putting in 6 out of 10, 7 out of 10 this season. So that's on the thing. I think that's to do with confidence in terms of how we play and the results that we've been getting. Andy Mitten was on, I think it was Talking to Devils. He mentioned he spoke to a bunch of players after the FA Cup final, not on record, but he basically said that we won't be surprised if he's going to be sacked next week. We don't know if he's going to stay. And several of them were unhappy with the way they were playing. I mean, now we know Casemiro was extremely unhappy with the tactics and stuff like that. And Varane vocalized that as well. So
Yeah.
I can imagine they're not the only players. I can imagine there's quite a few players who were in that camp as well. So it seems like there's a lot of unhappiness, and that reflects well on the pitch. Like that, you see that on the pitch. So yeah, I don't see where unless Porto come out and play absolutely terribly, I just don't see where we get the win. I don't see how we push them back and like dominate this game. I really don't.
And United have only won once away from home, Shreyas, this season, and that was against Southampton, who for the first 35 minutes was dominating us, really. You mentioned before about Porto's home record as well. They've got a really good record at their stadium, unbeaten in the previous 8 home games, excluding cup finals. How much credit does he deserve if he does go there, beat them convincingly, do you think?
I don't think right at the moment. I would genuinely say right now he's fighting for his job. Even if he gets a win at Porto, I don't think that the job is done there. He needs to keep it going against Villa, and even after Villa, I would say he needs to keep it going against Brentford as well. Because
how many does he need to win, do you think, in order to turn your faith in him around?
I think he needs to at least have a consistent run of 4 to 5 games at the very least. Because you really cannot be in a position where you win 2 games, then you lose, then you draw, and then you are back in the same position where you started off once again. And how many times have we had this conversation with Ten Hag that he's under a lot of pressure, he manages to graft out a few good results, gets a couple of wins together, and then after some time it is once again the same story where he loses against teams in the bottom half. We struggle to get wins. It's not a pretty watch. Then we see all these player dressing room leaks as well happening once all over again. So we've been through this cycle last year as well, and I think last year he was a bit lucky because we already had a lot of things actually going on with the club when it came to the ownership. It really took a lot of time out of it, and apart from that, the number of injuries he had, I think it was able to mask a lot of things that were going on when it came to the footballing side of things. This season he doesn't really have that excuse, and I think the body that is in place right now, I don't think they will actually allow Ten Hag as much freedom as he actually got last season when it came to results and the positioning of the team in the Premier League table. Because I think by the time I don't think that he'll be sacked right now, but if in the next 3 to 4 games, even if we win, but there is no progression when it comes to the style of play, or there is absolutely no change when it comes to the way we play against teams, I don't think that he'll last. I think the Spurs game was a big wake up call, not just for the fans, not just for the team, but for the board as well. Because I think they provided Ten Hag with the best tools that they could probably have in this summer transfer window. They gave him De Ligt, they gave him Mazraoui, 2 players that he's worked with before at Ajax. They gave him Ugarte, and they've given him Xerxes, and they've given him Euro. That's 5 players itself, and Euro is out, no doubt. But those 4 players, yeah,
he's definitely been back.
Yeah, and if everyone is fit, he has a major, like barring a couple of players, all players are Ten Hag signings. So I don't think that you can come to the table and say I cannot play this way because I don't have the players. You've got all the players that you want. You've got Mount as well, who was your priority signing last season. Yeah. Even though a lot of people were advocating go for a left back, go for someone else. He prioritized the signing of Mason Mount, and to this day we really don't even know how Mount fits into this team. So for me, I think that Spurs game actually signed his sacking with the way we played. I just really don't see him actually turning it around. Even if we beat Porto 2-0 or 3-0, I just really don't see him actually being able to turn it around in a way where his job is secured.
Yeah, there was a lot of us, weren't they, saying, well, I don't want to say a lot of us, but I was pretty confident going into this Europa League campaign because what we've done in the FA Cup and the other, and obviously the Carabao as well, that this could be the next kind of step to go on and win that trophy. Now, historically, Sam, this game usually would be a Champions League kind of fixture. The last time we played Porto, we beat.
Was it a quarter final? We played them.
1-0.
Yeah.
2009,
Yep.
15 years ago. And the starting 11 in that team, Van der Sar, Evra, Ferdinand, Vidic, O'Shea, Anderson, Carrick, Giggs, Ronaldo, Rooney, Berbatov. And we won the Champions League the year before and reached the final that year. And just I mentioned
that team, man. Oof.
My God, how we fell off. FC 20 in the Europa League. This was 15 years ago. We was in a Champions League final consecutively, back to back, and won one of them in Moscow. Now we're drawing to FC 20 in the Europa League. I'm worried about travelling away to Porto.
And looking as the worst team even when we are drawing.
Yeah, we're struggling against the worst ranked team in Europe in FC 20, and we're struggling. Ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. Like I think the only team ranked higher than us in Europe, in the Europa League, is Roma. We're like one of the top ranked teams. Ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah. It just puts it into perspective, doesn't it? It's crazy how much we really have the mighty have fallen and turned into like a mid-table team. Of course, we can't, before we move on and talk about Porto, Shreyas, we can't move on completely without speaking about Cristiano Ronaldo's wonder strike in that quarter-final, or even Jose Mourinho sprinting down the touchline in 2004 as well. So there's some good history between the clubs there, isn't there?
Oh, yeah, there surely is. I think.
Were you born, Shreyas, at that point?
Yes, I was born.
Just about.
That Mourinho moment happened, I was 1 year old.
There you go.
When Ronaldo kick, I was 6 years old. And I've seen that kick. And I haven't seen Mourinho, but I have seen that kick. So there is definitely a lot of history when it comes to United and Porto. I'd say I'm very surprised to say this, but this is a genuine fact. But Porto are actually coming into this game as the favourites. United are not going into this game as the favourites. Because you look at Porto's run up until now in the league as well. They've only conceded 3 goals in 7 games. Just 3 goals. And they scored 16. So we are nowhere near when it comes to, matching even Porto. When it comes to the, the players' abilities as well. And through the years as well, like you mentioned, the team that started in that game back in 2009. I highly doubt even one player in this team even comes close to a single player in that lineup. Even a single player.
Even John O'Shea, the utility player, was way more consistent than half these fucking players.
Anderson's the standout there anyway. You're like, he would not get in this team.
Anderson, we signed Anderson from Porto. Well,
but like, 30 million he's the only sort of stat. You look at that team, you're like, he shouldn't be in there, should he? Like all those other players in there, like Carrick, Giggs, and stuff. And then you see Anderson, you're like, a bit weird that one.
Historically, between both these teams, in our last 5 meetings, there's been 3 draws and 1 win apiece. So very, very even in that respect. But those games were quite a while ago, so it has no immediate effect on the games coming up. On Porto, I mentioned the style before: physical, aggressive, man-to-man pressing. They flood the final third. They've got, I think you touched on him before, Shreyas, Samu Omodorian, who was linked with Chelsea. Dangerous striker, similar style to Osman, Haaland, Nunes. The wingers are very dangerous as well. They began this season's competition with a defeat in their opening game in a surprise 3-2 loss against Bodo Glimt. I think Bodo Glimt had 10 men. Yeah, a 10-man Bodo Glimt. So if there's anything we can grab from this, that's what I'm looking at and absolutely fucking clinging on to.
By the way, Bodo Glimt are ranked higher than FC 20 in the European rankings.
That's crazy, isn't it?
Just to point it out, by the way.
Yeah, another tough test for us there. But it is a surprise result, isn't it, Sam, against Bodo Glimt? You wouldn't expect Porto to lose that game. So is there maybe a bit of a... I mean, I don't know if you watched the game or not, but is there a weakness there, potentially, looking at that result?
There could be. Like, Porto are not the club of Jose Mourinho in 2004. That's not who they are anymore. Like, they're not Champions League regulars or even close to winners at any point. I think Sporting Lisbon have been like the sort of more successful team in recent years. I know Benfica have had a couple of titles here and there, but I think Sporting Lisbon have sort of took over that sort of top Portuguese team. They've still got the history. They'll still have a fight. Like you said, the history will come into account as well against United, and they'll be up for it. So I think anybody who plays United right now, if you're half decently organised, you've got a chance against us. You've got a big chance against us.
We're not half decently organised, are we? That's the difference.
If the other team is half decently organised.
Oh, right. Oh, yeah, correct.
If they've got any sort of organisation about them, then they could probably beat us because we're quite easy. You know, the game plan to beat us is very simple. So if they've got any sort of organisation, know how to keep the ball, and know how to sort of thread balls through the lines when our midfield's wide open, they'll probably beat us, and they'll probably do it looking quite decent at doing it as well. Like, even like you said, Bodo Glimt beat them and stuff. Teams like that, teams like 20, teams like the smaller teams, Brentford, etc., they're well organised now. They're well drilled. They know exactly what they're doing. They know exactly what they're doing on the pitch. And they'll upset teams if teams are not on it. We've seen it. Brentford have been our bogey team for a multiple of occasions. SC20 made us look like amateurs, like a fucking pub team. So Porto were a step up from that. So I have no illusions that we could beat these guys. I think it's going to be a loss unless Ten Hag changes something, which I don't expect him to.
Yeah, I was just thinking, if I was the coach of Porto, I'd go in the dressing room, I'd put a PowerPoint on that's like a minute long, and I would just flick between clips of Casemiro losing the ball, Mainoo losing the ball in midfield, Eriksen losing the ball in midfield.
There's spaces in the midfield where it's like, right,
yeah,
play the ball there. Just play the ball there.
Yeah.
We're good.
Get a turnover in the final third, 1v1, square it. Sorted. That's how you beat us.
Get on the edge of the byline, cut it back.
Yeah.
You'll have space and just put it in the back of the net.
Sorted. Yeah. That's to get. There you go, Porto. There's your plan sorted to beat United for Thursday night. One player who's still there, Shreyas, who we got linked with in Diogo Costa. A lot of noise around him, wasn't there, when we was looking at Onana and the other one. Did we make the right decision, do you think?
I think even if he would have come, he would have struggled at this point.
He would have conceded about 20 goals at this point, wouldn't he?
He would have conceded around 100 goals. At that point, I would even say if we would have gotten Gyökeres instead of Højlund, even he would have struggled to make it in this team, because I just don't think right now it is the correct system or the correct environment for any player to actually come in and actually elevate their game to a next level. Mazraoui has come in, he's looked very good, but even if in that Spurs game he looked a lot shaky. It just looked like the energy has completely rinsed off the fullbacks. Same goes for Dalot, same goes for Mazraoui. Apart from Bruno, and even he is on thin ice, I really don't see a lot of players who, for a good consistent run of games, have been able to actually keep up their form or even elevate their game from when they actually signed for us. And it is very difficult at times to even analyze stuff, because last season, when Kobe Mainoo came in, he had a meteoric rise when he came into the team, and he went into the Euros. He solved England's midfield problem pretty much during the Euros as well, got their campaign back on track. And this season, he doesn't look himself. And it's nothing to do with Mainoo. He's still the player he is. He's a phenomenal talent. He's still got that ability. I just think that this system actually kills off players because of the energy and because of the way it is played. I just think that it doesn't really get the best out of the players.
Well, this is the point. Like, this is what I'm pulling my hair out over. Like, I genuinely, I do know like a bit of both, but I don't know if it is just purely the manager who is getting this wrong, or if it is the players are just simply not up to the standards that we put them on in terms of the pedestal that we put them all on. I don't know. I don't know if another coach comes in, they have a bounce, and you'll probably see that if Ruud comes in now as interim, you will see a bounce. I can fucking guarantee you will. Different style. Everyone's happy, positive. You go into this run, 10 wins, and you're like, fantastic. And then after that, you'll start seeing some cracks. You start seeing some little like insecure things on the pitch, and you're like, oh, it's happening again. And then they'll crumble, and it'll be repeat, and it'll be the manager again.
And then they'll leak. They'll leak that they're not happy with Ruud van Nistelrooy.
Yeah, they're not happy. They're training. It's different, and all that kind of nonsense. So I don't know. I don't know who to put the blame on anymore. I don't know who to trust anymore. We are a Jack in the Box club. We really are. It's impossible to tell what's going on anymore. Is it real life?
It's a combination of the two, isn't it? Like, clearly, Ten Hag's system is not suited to the players he's got. The system he wants to play, he needs perfect conditions every single week for it to work. Because we have seen it work in parts. Like, against Palace, it worked in parts. We just couldn't finish the goal. Against Southampton, after 30 minutes, it worked. So it can work, but he has to have ideal, perfect conditions for it to work. And in Premier League football and European football, you hardly ever get perfect conditions. Hardly ever happens. So you have to play to what your talents and what you have within your squad. And I don't think he's doing that. He's trying to fit. He thought, if I get this player, that'll fix it. If I get players that I've worked with before, that'll fix it. And it doesn't, because it's just a naive way of playing, especially in the Premier League at this level. It's just very naive. So you need to sort that out. We look amateur. And I think because the players know it's not working and it's a difficult sort of style unless perfect conditions happen, they're then not putting in the effort or they're switching off, which is then making it worse and the mistakes are happening. So I think it's a combination of the two. I think they're both to blame. And I think the players need to fucking look at themselves and be like, how many managers have we thrown under the bus and continued on this way? They need to look at themselves and be like, you need to shape up quick. But a manager needs to look at the system as well and change things, because it's not just him and it's not just them. It's a combination of the two, and it needs to be fixed immediately.
And also, managers pivot. Like, if they see a certain way where they can hurt a team, they pivot. They don't just stick with one thing and think, this is going to work. I'm going down this. It's either this or do or die, basically. But I remember Pep Guardiola. Pep Guardiola has been renowned in football, world football, for changing the whole landscape, especially the Premier League, with this tiki-taka style, this horseshoe shape, and overloading certain areas, getting to the byline and squaring it, basically passing it into the net. That is what Pep has been associated with for a long, long time. I remember against Arsenal last season, he went long to Haaland. He just turned to like Tony Pulis tactics, just went long because he knew it would hurt him, because he knew they would press up. Like, good coaches do that. I don't see Ten Hag. He did it a bit in his first season, but I don't see it now where something isn't working and he changes it tactically.
He's
or
just
he brings
like,
someone on
he's like,
he's so stuck in his ways.
He's like, this will work eventually. That's what he's got going in it. Eventually, this will click, and it just isn't. Like, it just isn't, and
it's going to cost him in his job.
Yeah, but you see with like the Southampton manager Russell Martin in the Championship, he played this really attractive style of football and looked good, and the fans coming. He's coming to the Premier League, and it's naively stuck to it and tried to carry on, and he's just getting battered every week. He looks great, and the player looks great, but he's just getting battered every week. And you saw with Burnley with Vincent Kompany towards the end of the season, he had to change because he was just getting absolutely torn apart every week because he don't have the quality of the players. So if managers are that level who have a clear, distinct style and they realise that they have to switch things up, if they're realising it, I don't understand why Ten Hag is not. I don't.
Everyone is. He's the only one in the room. It's bizarre. Before we get into ones to watch, lads, I just want to go through some comments. Amir Fikri says, this guy has 3 games left in him. Get Ollie back with Rude.
No.
Ten Hag has no idea. Tactical, not good at using the players. I think someone's Dutch. Stretford Gamer TV says, here, com, Groot, cack. I hope that's not swearing or anything a bit mad. But
Too late now.
Too late now. Richard saying, no, something's being coached, which is not good. I think he needs at least 6 games under his belt. That's interesting. I don't know if he's alluding to the manager or maybe a player there.
Yeah, I think so.
I'm not sure. Jay McGrogan says, all I can say is Eric Ten Hag's sacking is inevitable sooner or later when Ineos have the ideal person lined up, but watch the difference in their attitude and general effort in earning a place under the new guy. That's a very smart comment. Richard saying, I was 46 when Jose ran down the line.
Jesus
oh my
Christ.
God. Oh my God. Big Game Player says that cutback goal is literally Ten Hag's legacy, the only style of play he's developed at United.
How many times did we see that goal last season? Honest to God.
Yeah.
Just every game. It was fucking terrifying. Every game I'm just like, oh, and there's the cutback. And it's a goal.
There it is. Especially last season was really evident. Yeah. I mean, there were so many examples. I did a full show on it of how many cutbacks we shocking. And then Jarvis Cocker in the chat as well saying big up, guys. So, yeah, who were the ones to watch, lads? Shreyas, I'll start off with you. I don't know if you want to go with one from Porto's side, but United as well, if we do have any to watch.
No one to watch from United. At the moment, like, genuinely, no one to watch. You can probably only Onana is someone you'll be watching. But apart from that, I think from Porto, Varela is something that you need to actually keep an eye on because he can rip that midfield apart altogether by himself. He's a very, very good prospect that Porto have got in the midfield. Samu is there, who a very physical striker, so it will be a very tricky, he's got a good blend of pace and good pace variation on him as well, so it will be tricky to actually lock him down. And Galeno on the wing, I think he's also someone who I think Mazraoui will have a tough time to lock him down too. So they've got a very good side, a very good, well-balanced side. And because they're so organized and they actually know how to, progress the ball further through the lines as well.
That's us fucks then. They're organized. We're screwed.
Yeah. And if you allow them, the amount of spaces that we provide, especially with the kind of pace that the wingers as well as the striker has got, I think it's going to be very difficult for us to actually, get a win against them.
It's funny because you look at like the teams that we play. Spurs are the most riskiest ones, but you can get at
Exactly.
in terms of like styles, make fights.
We got
Yeah.
And we couldn't even
fucked.
score against them. And we got bent over. Like shocking. Sam, is he a go-to guy for us in this game at all?
I mean, on
If we're
paper,
clinging on
yeah,
to something.
on paper, there's players like Bruno in Europe is normally quite decent. He normally sort of steps up, but he's been terrible this season. I've liked what Xerxes has offered in terms of sort of build-up play and linking players in, but I think his finishing needs to improve because he's had a couple of opportunities to put it in the back of the net and he hasn't. I thought Garnacho has looked good when he's come on and he's tried, and I think when he came off the bench, I think he's looked decent and sort of offered the threat, and he hit the post against Spurs, didn't he? Did he?
Yeah. Yeah.
So he looks like a threat. So there's a couple of players there who can do something. And he has, again, Garnacho has scored big goals in the Champions League. Galatasaray one where he's celebrating in front of him and they had to be dragged away because he was about to be murdered by the Galatasaray fans.
Stop.
So yeah, there's players in there that could do stuff, but whether they do or not is another matter, isn't it? But I agree with Shreyas. Galeno is a very good player. Really good player, left winger. I think he's their top scorer as well, 5 goals this season.
Yeah.
So he's a decent player. And I like their left back as well, Francisco Mora. He's got 3 assists this season, so he's very dangerous. Even though they're quite compact and organised, he's still good at getting forward and he'll get balls into the box and play. So yeah, I think they've got some dangerous players. And obviously, Diogo Costa is a really good goalkeeper. And of course, what do we struggle with? Every time we play a goalie, he has the game of his life, doesn't he? Like he makes some ridiculous saves. So like that the FC20 keeper, just everything he was saving.
Yeah,
pulled
out
just
of
fucking
world,
every set. I was just like,
save.
and so it just seems to be our legacy in Europe. Like goalkeepers just seem to have a fucking great game against us. So yeah, there's a couple for you.
I'm going to ask the chat as well for all you guys that are watching. Please do smash a like on the video for us and get your ones to watch in this game. Who do you think is going to have an impact genuinely on Thursday night? For Porto, I agree. I think, Samu, I can't even say his name. Omaridian, I think is how you pronounce it. Spanish, 6'4" striker, great hold-up play, can run in behind. He's got all kind of finishes on both feet as well. So I think he's going to cause some problems in that back line, judging how we played on Sunday. So keep an eye out for them. In terms for us, I think Mount or Bruno, because of the reasons I mentioned before. I think the way with that man-to-man press, how aggressive they are. If you're quick and decisive on the ball, you can get at him. But we need those players in particular. Maybe an Ericsson as well as one to keep an eye on if he starts. I think he can affect the game. But we'll see. We'll see. Maybe he's having a Werther's and a blanket and a cup of tea on the side. I'm not sure.
To be fair,
for this game or not.
To be fair to him, he's been our best player this season.
Yeah.
And that it says everything you need to know about this.
You know what I mean? Do you know what I mean?
That encapsulates everything you need to know, doesn't it? Really. Ericsson has been our best player this season.
Yes.
A man who, at the start of the season or before it in June, we was all like, let him go Ajax for 5 mil. He's never
Even he wanted to go.
Yeah, and he's our best player. Jesus Christ, man.
Mental.
Yeah, mental. Right, back to the comments very quickly and we'll do quick fire. Jarvis is saying, I'm not into sacking Ten Hag. I'm willing to give him time. I think you're probably one of 5% of people who is willing to. I'm not saying you're wrong for doing that, but just saying. Another Ten Hag European masterclass incoming. Another loss. Bodo Glimt played Porto off the park with 10 men, by the way. People going back and forth. Rajat in the chat as well. Nice to see you. And people just arguing about the manager and stuff, which is inevitable. All right, quick fire questions, lads. Manchester United versus Porto away. First and foremost, how many Portuguese players can you name that's played for United?
Ooh. 4, I think.
Okay, do you give me 4?
Nani, Ronaldo. Fuck, why am I struggling already?
Current players, Sam. Okay, now.
Obviously Bruno, Gallo.
Yeah. That's 4. You said 4.
What did we have a goalie?
There's a few niche
Did we have
ones.
a goalie who was Portuguese?
Yes.
Van de Gaal?
Yes. No. That is a very Dutch name. It's Joel Pereira.
No, I wouldn't
Joel
got
Pereira
got that one.
was Portuguese. Anyone else, Shreyas, that springs to your mind? Portuguese player? No, it's just straight up no. Yeah, Bebe. Bebe was Portuguese.
Oh, fucking Bebe, the legend that is Bebe.
Yeah,
I remember that. I remember that.
So yeah,
Player, absolutely shockingly player.
Next up, will we score?
No.
I think we will.
Oh Jesus, Shreyas, we've well and truly broke you, mate, haven't we? If you're saying we won't score, you used to be well positive the first year on this channel.
Where's Shah Sam? I want to see if he's saying 3-0 right now.
I've not seen him for ages.
I guarantee if he's saying 3-0 now, I swear to God, I'm like, he's taking drugs. He's taking drugs.
Yeah, there's usually a few people in it that I think Brian Casey is usually very positive. You've got Shah Sam. There's a couple others as well. So if you are out there, Shah Sam, do let us know. We miss you, brother. If you could sign any Portuguese player, who would you pick right now?
God, that's a difficult one. João Neves.
Oh, good shout. Great shout.
Nuno Mendes.
Another fight. I love him. Love him as a left back.
Yeah.
Palinha as well. Another one. You could have an early midfield.
Just a decent midfielder would be good. Yeah. Any decent Portuguese midfielder.
Got plenty of them. Vitinho as well. Another quality midfielder.
Whoever you want.
I'm not struggling now, are they? Leal, Bernardo Silva. Fucking take your pick. Yeah, there's enough of them. Give me a percentage we win this game.
15.
Yeah, I'll say.
15%. Okay, now.
I'll go a bit more positive. I'd say 17%.
To Porto.
17.
Yeah.
You might as well just said 15. 17% makes it sound worse.
I'm going up a bit more. Thought I'd give it a bit more.
Oh my God. 17% chance that we beat Porto in the Europa League.
I mean, honest to God, if anybody is going above 50%, get your head checked. Please.
Yeah. If you've watched us, you've got to agree with it. Right, should we do preferred 11s then?
Right,
sorry, prediction for man of the match very quickly before we do.
Okay. Galeno.
Okay, Shreyas?
Galeno.
Yeah. I'll go with the striker for Porto. Sorry. Right, yeah, sorry. Preferred 11s.
So I've got the predicted 11 because we all picked the same team. I've put that on the screen now, so I don't know if one of you wants to go through that first, and then we can get to preferred 11s.
Yeah, so we had Onana in net, didn't we? Mazraoui, De Ligt, Sancho, Dalot, Yon, same back five.
Yeah.
Ugarte, Bruno, Casemiro in the midfield.
Yeah.
Did we go with? And then Ahmad, Højlund, and
Rashford?
Yeah. Rashford. Yeah. So that's what we think it's going to be. But we're getting bored with team selections and certain people being picked all the time. So preferred 11s is what we're going to do instead.
Nick, give us your preferred 11, mate.
I think I went with, and I might have changed this again. Sorry if I have.
Every week. This is going to be a thing. Every week you're going to pick an 11 and everyone's like, no, I'm changing it.
So the same back five, Ugarte, Mainu, and Mount, but Mainu's got a hamstring injury. So I'll put Casemiro in there instead. Because Mainu's definitely not going to play. And Mount is just, this is preferred in it, so I don't need to explain myself. Ahmad, Højlund, and Rashford, because I like Ahmad. Højlund, I think, needs a full game out to try and get some goal, try and get some confidence. And Rashford looks like he's pretty sharp. So, yeah, if we can get some space in the game, I think they can hurt him.
Shreyas, you didn't send me yours, so do you want to just go through yours off the top of your head? And let me know?
I have to change the formation as well. I'll go with the back five in this game.
I've gone with a back five. I've gone with a back five as well.
Fantastic.
I think I'll go with the back five. Mazraoui, Dalot as fullbacks. Then whoever wants to play once again can slot into the centre back departments. I think Maguire, Lisandro, and De Ligt go in as the three centre backs. In the midfield, I'll go with a duo of Ugarte and Casemiro. I think Casemiro as well could actually play much better, having that sort of protection behind him. And with Lisandro stepping into midfield, I think can actually offer us a lot more when it comes to building up the play as well as absorbing pressure. And in the attack, I'll go with Højlund, Ahmad, and Rashford.
Right,
talk us through your Tuchel setup.
I've got a very similar setup to Shreyas, but there's a couple of players different. So I've got the same back six, like Dalot, Lisandro, Maguire, De Ligt, Mazraoui, Onana. I've then got Casemiro and Bruno in the double pivot. And then I've got Xerxes in the 10, and then Højlund and Ahmad up top. That's what I've gone with. I just need to see something fucking different. Just give me anything. Give me something to hold on to, something different, something. I think with a back five, Maguire can sit and he can hold, and you can
Yeah.
Casemiro can sit and hold while Bruno goes forward. Bruno can sit, like they can rotate, and then Dallo and Mazraoui can invert into the midfield to help out when needs be. Dirksey is very good at linking the play, so I would love to see him and Højlund play together. They can link up that play, and then he can switch out with Ahmad as well, who can drop into the 10, so they can switch out. So there's a bit of fluidity on the front line. So I just want to see something different. I don't care what it is, just give me something else.
Yeah, surprise us to Eric, which is
Yeah.
never going to happen. But, in terms of percentage, Jay said 0%, UTFR said 0%, Rajat said 10 to 20%. I'd play Mazraoui on the left and Dallo on the right. Dallo's been shit at right back. Yeah, I won't mind trying him there, but again, that was just the main recurring theme of this is just change. Just change something, please. Score predictions, please, lads.
2-0 to Porto.
Okay, starting off strong.
Yeah.
I like it. Go on, Sam.
2-1 to Porto.
I can't be. You know, I'll give us some. I think 1-1 or 2-2. I'll go 1-1. That's more realistic in
So
Europe.
either way, we don't win.
We definitely don't win. No, we definitely don't win. You'd be crazy if we did. If we went there and won 3-0, I mean, that would be the biggest shock so far this season.
They would have to just part like the Red Sea on the thing and just let us shoot at them. That's the only way that happens.
Or get like 2 men sent off early. That's something ridiculous. So yeah, I'm gonna go with a draw. And there we have it. That is the end of the preview, guys. Andy's saying 1-0 Porto. I think everyone's on the same page here, aren't they? My God. Yeah, if you can, make sure you do check out the afternoon news show that we did today on the Dutch media destroying Erik ten Hag. Also, we dropped the viral video. I dropped at 3 o'clock, I think it was, between Goldbridge and Sayed TV. A bit of a tasty one there. For anyone who fancies that content, please do check it out and let us know your thoughts and feelings. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. If you watch this live or watching this later on, we're on 7,039 subs at the minute on the road to 10k. And check us out on socials, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter for all the latest news updates, reels, and good stuff. And we shall. I was just saying we look forward to the game, but we're not going to do that, are we, lads? We're just gonna put up with it for 90 minutes and see what happens, and hopefully we win.
It's like going to like a job thing where you know you're gonna get fired. Like you have to go, but it's just gonna be hell. It's just gonna be horrific. Why they just tell you how shit you are and then fucking fire you. That's what it's like. Fucking horrible.
Do you know when we did that after dark, Sam, and we was talking about when your girlfriend's asked you to go Primark and walk around Primark, you're just like, I really don't want to do this. Like,
I'd rather do that. I'd rather do that than go watch this game.
That's where we're at the minute. We'd rather walk around Primark
on a Saturday
with our girlfriend
on a Saturday
when it's heaving than watch Manchester United.
Yeah.
Look what you've done to us. Cheers, United. Right, yeah, we'll leave it on that note. We'll see you tomorrow. Usual shows lined up. And yeah, I think we've got Champions League tonight, haven't we? So enjoy the football tonight, guys, and we'll check you out tomorrow. See you in a bit.